All right, guys, so now it's time to progress the leash work. We've already done all the leash work, the basic introduction to all the leash work, the loose leash walking, the sit, the down, the heel entries, the heeling, the place command. If you haven't watched these videos, go back, watch these videos. It's really important that you understand the foundation before you progress. Even if you think your dog already knows it, go give those videos a watch. You might find that there's something in the foundation that you're doing. Our program, our training system is a step-by-step process where we're installing certain things in the dog's knowledge as we progress the dog. So if you haven't done something foundational, it can hurt you down the road. And it can make things a little bit more stressful for your dog because he or she may not understand what it is that you're doing because the foundation isn't there. So just a quick recap from the earlier videos. What I'm looking for you to progress is, number one, your dog needs to be respectful on the leash. You need to be able to walk your dog literally with the leash either hanging off your hand or 2 fingers on the leash. Dog needs to be very respectful. No pulling whatsoever. I always say 2 fingers because people cheat. I find that there's people always allowing tension, and if your dog is pulling you in any way, your dog is not being obedient on the leash. You are not able to progress to any further work. You have a big problem. You need to fix it. Usually what the problem is people haven't been firm enough on the corrections. They've been henpecking the dog with the leash. They haven't made it clear. Do not pull me. As hard as you need to pull, to pop the dog or snap the leash to make the dog respectful on the leash, you do that. And you're very clear and consistent with your communication. The leash must always be loose and relaxed. The leash must always be loose and relaxed. So I'm going to walk around. I'm going to demonstrate what I want to see. I want to see a dog that, with 2 fingers, understands the concept of loose leash walking, is obedient on the leash, does not pull, is respectful. Whatever it is that I'm doing, wherever it is that I'm going, whatever it is that I'm around, the dog isn't pulling me. Now, of course, the dog can have a moment where he or she struggles, like that, where he or she pulls because she gets distracted, and it's really important at that moment that you're consistent and that you remind the dog it doesn't matter what's in the background. It doesn't matter if there's another dog. Do not pull me, right? I don't care if the other dog's dancing like this dog is. Hey! No! Do not pull me, and most certainly do not become reactive like she just did.
Maybe echoes too much from most dogs. It's that energy. Oh, so powerful.
Okay, so we want the dog to be respectful on the leash, no pulling, no issues, and just like I said, 2 fingers. If you can't hold the leash with 2 fingers, your dog's pulling you. Go back, fix the problem. Go and be as firm as you need to be on the leash to make it clear to the dog. When you feel pressure, good girl, do not pull. Do not brace against the pressure regardless of what's going on. So, that's the loose leash walking. It's the most important thing. Now, some of you will notice the prong collar on this dog's a little bit low. She's got a bit of a narrow neck. I could take a prong out and place the collar a little bit higher, and it would make her a little bit more sensitive to the collar. But most of the problems with the prong collar that people have is because they don't use it properly. It's not actually where it sits on the dog's neck. So unless I have like a big bull mastiff like this guy back here, or a Borbal or whatever he is, that's very physically strong and not at all sensitive, maybe I'll need to do that. But for a nice little German Shepherd like this, it's not necessary. It doesn't matter. It's just that I use it right. That's what will ensure that I have success. So what I also want to see is that the dog's able to get to positions. Sit, good, break, down, good, break. And that she goes with the leash. So when I make the pressure, that the dog is responsive to that pressure, with or without a command, really. Break, because it shows that the dog's willing to accept information from the leash, which is an essential component to move forward. All right? So I just kind of demonstrated the sit and the down there. Quickly, I'm going to also ask for the heel, because the heel is also a part of what we're going to be doing today. Right. Heel. Good. And that time she was a little bit beside me there. Good girl. Break. She was a little bit beside me there, so you saw I just kind of guided her again into the position. That's okay. And then the dog is able to maybe do also a little bit of heeling. Heel. Again, watch our earlier videos on the heel. Good. Good. Good girl. Good. And if you have to give a little bit of a tap to remind the dog where she needs to be in relation to you, that's still fine. I don't expect the dog to be super proficient in this. Good girl. Break. All right, you'll also notice that I'm also making it very clear for the dog the beginning and the end of every command. That is so important. A lot of people just ask the dog to do something and forget to break the dog. Make sure you never forget to break the dog. All right? So, all the basics are there. The dog is showing me a basic understanding. So now it's time to progress. Now it's time to say to the dog, I'm going to help you less. I'll still reward the dog, but I'm going to help you less. I'm going to pressure you less. I want you on your own to show me that you're going to do these things. So what you're going to see is I'm going to switch the pressure from being at the same time as the command to now moving the pressure after the command only if the dog doesn't offer the correct behavior. So for something like a sit, just like that, break. Dog didn't do the right thing, I'm going to do it again. She was distracted, but it's still not an excuse. Sit. Good. And I'm going to reward that because it was voluntary. Sit. Good girl. And you don't have to reward every rep, though you do have to praise for sure. I want to see that the dog is able to do it. Down. Good girl. And you can see right there, dog can do it. I gave her a little tap down. Hey, you should be lying down right now. Down. That's it. Good job. Good. And again, we're in the stage where we just want the dog to be able to get to where he or she needs to get to. I don't care about a long sit, stay, or down stay. I just want the dog to be proficient in getting there. Again, the staying is the least important part because it's the easiest thing to teach once the dog knows how to get there properly. So, we've got the sit, we've got the down. Now I want to see the heel entry. Heel. Good girl. And you can see that's fairly voluntary as well. This is something also, break all these things you don't have to always train them with the pressure, right? The pressure is important, and if you haven't trained them with the pressure, you must train them with the pressure. But a lot of the time at home, if I'm playing with my dogs, I have like a little piece of cheese, I might make them sit down, heel, whatever, right? And reward them for it. It just helps with their overall understanding. There's nothing wrong with doing that. So what we're doing in this stage is we're trying to get the dog off the pressure, because some people never wean the dog. They're always helping the dog, right? I'm trying to break the dog from needing so much help so that eventually I can just kind of stand there with my arms crossed asking the dog to sit down, whatever it is I need the dog to do. That won't happen unless I push for it. So again, handcuff, heel. And if you notice a bit of a problem like this, look what she's doing. She's sitting crooked and away. I'm now going to help her on the next rep because it's not a trying problem, it's an understanding problem. Break, handcuff, heel. And I'm going to just guide her in next to me. And I'll reward her next to me. So she'll want to be closer. Break, okay? Heel. Right? So again, that's something, I'll just give you guys a little thing. A lot of people, sometimes they have the dog sit a little bit away from them. Just a quick way to work on this, and this is something, again, it's not a problem that the dog is making on purpose. It's an error in her foundation. Somebody did something wrong. I'm going to talk to my trainers. I'm going to see who did this. But somebody did something wrong where the dog thinks it's okay to sit over there. All right? It's not her fault. The way that you fix this problem, and I've seen people do it accidentally a lot of the time, as the dog comes in, heel, step sideways away, and guide the dog. Step sideways away, and guide the dog next to you. And also when you feed, the food is always right next to you, right? She is also, the problem with what she's doing is she's anticipating, right? She's anticipating the food as she kind of sits back a little bit, anticipating the food. It's not so good. So again, just really quickly, what I'm going to work on with this dog in this stage of the work is I'm going to work on just getting her a little bit close. Nanka, heel. So right there, I wasn't getting the attention that oh, good. And you can see she's getting closer and closer, right? And you see she gets away from me when she's expecting the food, but guess what? There's no food over there. Nope. I am in a place now, and you know, I'm actually kind of glad this happened. I'm in a place now where I have no interest in getting too far into talking about dealing with this small problem that this dog has. I've seen a lot of people make this problem. So when you run into something like this and you see that it's a problem that you made, the solution isn't to make big pressure on the dog. The solution is to become clear with the dog and say, hey, I see that you have a problem here. It's my fault. I'm going to make it clear for you. But you see, when she comes in, she comes in here, I guide her. Before, when I was marking, she would get away from me to wait for the food there. I'm not giving you food there. The food will come here, right? Break. Now, I know some of you are saying, well, Chip is a terminal marker. It is a terminal marker, but I'm still not going to deliver the food over there. I'm not going to correct the dog if she jumps out of position. I'm just going to lure her back and feed her there. And after a while, she's going to learn that the food for the heel comes here, so she's going to stop being over there, all right? Just a little help for you guys if you accidentally make this problem. Again, it's not a huge deal, but for me, I'm a little bit of a perfectionist with these things, so I care. So, the heel entry. I want to see a dog that enters the position. You shouldn't have to drag her all the way. Heel. I want to see a dog, and when she does this, look, I'm making pressure on the dog a little bit, right? Break, because that was the lack of try. I said, come in, and she said, I'll just stop in front of you. So I went pop, pop, pop. I didn't drag her. I just went pop, 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 directionally, get to the position. Nanka, heel, heel. I'll reward it. She's a little bit back, but she made the effort there. Good. All right? Just like I said, I will not feed her in bad places. I will guide her to the right place and feed her there so that she understands that she must be in the correct position. So, I want to see a dog who voluntarily sits, break, gets to the right position, down, break, good girl. And again, not all the rewards have to be food rewards. Sometimes you can just break and praise the dog. Break, woo, 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 woo. Right? Just praise the dog, make it dynamic, make it fun. Heel. Have the dog come, hey, heel. Good. Right? Good. Have the dog come next to you. All right, and the dog's showing the proficiency there. Now I'm going to work a little bit on the actual heeling, okay? So now what I want is I'm going to work my fast, my slow, my left, my right, heel. And again, the leash is loose for the heeling. I want to see that the dog is able to stay next to me. If she doesn't, I'm going to make a little bit of a pop. So slow walking, fast walking, slow walking, girl, fast walking, right turn, left turn, and if the dog gets in front, you can just check her with the lead. Good girl. Woo! And I can reward the dog. Yep. Good. And again, just running the dog through these quick patterns. I'm not going to make her heel for 10 minutes. Good. Good. Fast, slow, slow. Good. And then we'll finish it. Good girl. Right? And I want to see these basic behaviors, and I'm going to build on them. And the goal for me with this stage of the leash work is to have to do a lot less. Okay? I want to not put pressure on the dog. I want to minimize how much pressure I put on the dog. So what I'm actually doing is I'm increasing the pressure when I apply it, when I see that there is a lack of effort. So for instance, if I say down and the dog's just like looking at me, I'll give the dog a little tap down, okay? So I'm not going to take the dog's head off, of course, but I am going to make a little bit of a firm pop down. Same with the sit, right? When I ask for it, sit, I expect it to happen. Now, if I see that the dog is genuinely confused, or maybe scared of something or whatever, then I'm going to be a little bit more gentle with my pressure. If I see that the dog's making no effort to listen to me, then I'm going to be a little bit firmer, and this is where people fall flat. They're constantly, like I said earlier, they just nag the dog for the dog's entire life. I get quickly out of nagging. Once I show you, I expect you to do it. And if you don't do it, I'm going to put more pressure on you. So it's really important. Once you've taught the behavior, as you saw in the learning stages of everything, you make it good. This can apply to anything, even the place command. So, place. I put the dog on the place, all right? She must remain on the place. If she comes off, I'm going to correct her. She hasn't been on this place before, but for whatever reason, maybe she's not going to like it. There's obviously some smell on there or something. If she comes off, I'm going to be very firm and clear. No, you must stay on the place. If I don't do all these things on the leash properly, I am going to have problems when I try to go off leash. I want my dog to be as close to off leash as possible with the leash on the dog, okay? And the way that you do that is not to use the leash. And when you use it, you make enough pressure that the dog says, okay, I really want to not feel this pressure. How do I perform in such a way that he's not going to apply this pressure to me, right? And then on the other side, I'm going to be very encouraging when the dog does the right thing. Break. Good girl. And you can see with this dog, she's a little bit uncertain sometimes on the break, and that's okay. That's something that we can work with, and we can just show her through repetitions what it is and how to avoid that problem. Sit. And you can see with her, for me, when a dog is looking at a distraction and says, I'm not going to listen to you because I'm too busy looking at the distraction, for me, this is not trying. And for me, this is where I will put pressure on the dog. Very firmly, as you saw with that sit, you must sit. I don't care what's going on in the background. You must sit. Down. Break. Heel. And that's a lack of effort. Heel. Good. Heel. Whatever it is I'm asking, I don't care what's going on around me. You need to be able to do it and show me that you're trying. Good girl. And again, you see the leash is very loose. I'm not holding the leash tight.
You know what I'll do for you is...
Good girl. All right. The heel entries with this dog are something that I see we need to go back and do a little bit of remedial work. So I'm not going to put too much more pressure on that this session. That's something where I've identified this problem. I'm going to go back, I'm going to work on it a little bit. And this is what you're going to be doing as you're training your dog. You're going to be evaluating what's going on and what specifically you need to work on, right? Oh, the down isn't so good. Let me go back and work on it instead of trying to push forward past my dog's ability. It's my fault. I made a mistake in the foundation. I need to go and work on it. Break. Right? So it's really important that your dogs show that proficiency. And remember, don't be robotic. I know for the sake of the video, I'm being a little bit robotic, right? Because I'm just trying to get through all this stuff. But at the same time, mix it up. Don't always reward with food, right? Down. Break. Yeah. It's almost like a game. Sit. Break. Yeah. Down. Chip. Right? And you can see that I did some dynamic play. I did a food reward. You can mix it up, right? And it's really easy to make things good for the dog. You can ask for that heel. Hey, heel. Good, good. Good job. Yeah. Oh, you're so silly. Right? And you see she left the position right away at clock because she wanted to look at somebody. Good girl. Good. Yes. Good girl. And I'm engaging the dog constantly. Right? Good. And there, she got caught between, do I look at this new guy that's in the room or do I listen to my handler? Break. Yeah. Do I listen to my handler? Right? And she made the right decision there. Now, if you're playing with a ball or something, you can use the ball. In these early stages, I use toys less personally, because I find that they kind of make the dog tired very quickly. Doesn't mean you can't use them, doesn't mean I haven't used them. For me, you'll notice I just do a lot of interactive stuff with the dog where I make the food delivery fun, I make the play fun, but I also am now making the pressure a little more. You must do it, and I'm not helping you anymore, or I'm helping you a lot less. Okay, so that's the very important part to this next step of leash work. If you haven't done this and you just put the e-collar and now you're saying, okay, I want more from you on the e-collar, it's going to be much more difficult for your dog, and your off leash is going to be less reliable and it's going to come slower. So it's really important that you do this stage of work with the dog and make the dog so proficient that you almost don't even need the leash.